Part 2. The summoning of the elementals. Hearing of the recent conquest of the Kingdom of Norway by the Empire of Frosthaven, the Empire of Sanctity, now at the head of the Holy Roman Empire, decides to invade Germany with their newly restored army, and possibly use the sacred relic if they still possess it. The attack is announced by Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of the Empire of Sanctity and more recently of the Holy Roman Empire. The army of the Holy Roman Empire, now led by the experienced General Marcus Aurelius, begins to march towards the heart of Germany, hoping to retake the lands lost to the Empire of Frosthaven and restore peace and order to the region. The invasion is met with mixed reactions from the local population. Some welcome the new emperor as a savior, while others fear the return of religious persecution and the oppression they experienced under the previous regime. As the army advances, they come across small bands of Frosthaven forces, scattered and demoralized after their recent defeat. Marcus Aurelius orders his soldiers to treat these soldiers with respect and honor, offering them the chance to surrender or join his forces. Many choose the latter, seeing the promise of a more just and tolerant rule under the new emperor. Meanwhile, word of Marcus Aurelius' invasion spreads quickly throughout the region. Some towns and villages choose to welcome him as a liberator, while others remain wary and cautious. The local church officials, many of whom had suffered under the previous regime, throw their support behind Marcus Aurelius, hoping that his reign will bring a return to religious freedom and the protection of the Catholic Church. As the army continues its march, they encounter a group of refugees from a recently conquered village. The refugees tell of how the Frosthaven forces had systematically destroyed their homes and killed many of their loved ones, all in the name of their pagan gods. Marcus Aurelius is horrified by these accounts and vows to bring the perpetrators to justice. He orders his men to search the countryside for any remaining Frosthaven forces and to offer safe haven to those who have been displaced by the war. News of the emperor's compassionate leadership spreads quickly, earning him the trust and admiration of the people they encounter. Word of his just rule and devotion to the Catholic Church begins to reach even the farthest corners of the empire, drawing support from those who had once been skeptical of his reign. As they draw closer to the capital city, anticipation and excitement build amongst the populace, many hoping to witness the return of peace and prosperity under the guidance of Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Meanwhile, the remnants of the Frosthaven forces, now led by their new general, Eric Bloodaxe, prepare for battle. They have fortified their positions in and around the capital city, hoping to make a stand against the invading army. As the two forces engage in a brutal and protracted conflict, it becomes clear that Marcus Aurelius' experience as a general and his ability to inspire loyalty in his troops gives them the upper hand. The battle rages for weeks, with casualties on both sides mounting daily. Throughout the conflict, Marcus Aurelius maintains a steady presence on the front lines, personally leading his troops into battle and encouraging them to fight for a better future. His strategic brilliance and unwavering determination begin to wear down the defenders, who eventually surrender to the Holy Roman Empire. As the dust settles on the battlefield, Marcus Aurelius is hailed as a hero by his victorious troops and a liberator by the people of the empire. The emperor enters the capital city, now restored to its former glory, and is greeted with thunderous applause and adoration from the populace. He walks among them, listening to their stories of hardship and hope, and vowing to work tirelessly to bring peace and prosperity to the lands under his rule. The church officials, grateful for his protection and support, stand beside him, their voices united in praise for the new emperor. Marcus Aurelius takes his place upon the throne, a symbol of both power and responsibility, and addresses the people of the empire. He speaks of his vision for a future where all faiths may coexist in harmony, where justice is served to all, and where the people may live in freedom and prosperity. His words resonate deeply with the people, many of whom had suffered under the tyranny of the previous regime. The Empire of Frosthaven, in reaction to the liberation of the Kingdom of Germany by the Empire of Sanctity-led Holy Roman Empire, decides to try something drastic and risky. They decide to attempt to summon a powerful elemental guardian, and thus, they proceed with attempting the summoning ritual. The ritual takes place deep within the frozen wastes of Frosthaven, as the most powerful mages and sorcerers of the Empire gather around a massive, ancient obsidian altar. For days and nights, they chant, dance, and sacrifice livestock, summoning the elemental energies of fire, water, earth, and air. As the ceremony reaches its climax, a blinding flash of light erupts from the altar, and a towering pillar of ice and snow rises into the air, spinning slowly like a great, frozen top. The elemental guardian has been summoned. The guardian, a massive, humanoid figure carved from solid ice and snow, stands nearly 100 feet tall. Its eyes, two glowing orbs of blue ice, seem to see through time itself. Its icy breath freezes the air around it, and its massive arms end in cruel, jagged icicles that glitter in the faint light. As it steps down from the pillar of ice, its footprints leave deep impressions in the frozen ground, as if it were carved by a giant's hand. The mages and sorcerers who summoned the guardian step back, bowing their heads in reverence and fear. The Emperor of Frosthaven, seeing the awesome power and majesty of the elemental guardian before him, feels a mixture of awe and terror. He knows that this creature, now bound to his service, could be the key to victory against the Empire of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Army. The Empire of Sanctity and Holy Roman Empire hear of the Empire of Frosthaven's summoning of 100-foot-tall snow and ice elemental guardian, which is immensely distressing news, but they have a plan. Considering how their last time summoning a demon nearly went well, they decide to attempt it again, to try and counteract Frosthaven's elemental guardian, and thus, the attempted summoning ritual is began. The ritual, performed by the most powerful mages and sorcerers in the two empires, is an awe-inspiring display of arcane might. As the mages chant in unison, their voices rising and falling in a cacophony of ancient words, a vortex of swirling energy forms in the center of the gathering. The air crackles with power, and the very earth trembles beneath their feet. The ceremony continues unabated, as the mages pour their life force into the vortex, drawing upon the very essence of the elements to fuel their creation. As the ritual reaches its climax, the swirling energy begins to coalesce into a massive, glowing orb. The mages step back, breathless and exhausted, their eyes fixed on the pulsing sphere of light. In the blink of an eye, the orb explodes outward, bathing the sky in a blinding light. When the light fades, a massive, towering figure stands before them, its form seemingly made of living water and earth. The elemental, known as the Avatar of the Waters, is the embodiment of the elemental forces the mages have summoned. Standing over 100 feet tall, it has the upper body of a muscular man and the lower body of a massive fish. Its skin is blue-green and glistening, and it carries a trident in one hand, its tip glowing with an ethereal light. The Avatar of the Waters addresses the two emperors, its voice deep and booming like the waves of the ocean. I am the Avatar of the Waters, called forth by your summoning. I am here to aid you in your time of need. What is it you wish me to do? Both emperors exchange glances, unsure of how to proceed. This is the first time they have attempted to control an elemental, and they are unsure if their command will be strong enough. The Emperor of the Sanctity slowly steps forward, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. We ask you, great Avatar, to aid us in our conflict with the Empire of Frosthaven. They have summoned an elemental of ice and snow, and it threatens our lands. We wish for you to confront it and put an end to its reign of terror. The Empire of Frosthaven soon though hears that the Empire of Sanctity has summoned the Avatar of the Waters, an over 100-foot-tall embodiment of the elemental forces of earth and water and, thus, have decided to attempt to summon a legendary creature known as the Frost Wyrm, a colossal dragon-like creature of ice and frost, with wings spanning the skies and a breath capable of freezing anything it touches. As a symbol of the harsh and unforgiving nature of the northern lands, the Frost Wyrm embodies the raw power of winter and ice. And thus, the Empire of Frosthaven begins the attempted summoning ritual of the Frost Wyrm. The ritual is performed at the highest peak of the frozen mountains, where a massive obsidian altar stands, carved with intricate runes and symbols. For days and nights, The most powerful mages and sorcerers of the empire gather around the altar, sacrificing animals and burning incense, drawing upon the elemental energies of ice and cold. As the ceremony reaches its climax, a blinding flash of light erupts from the altar, and a towering pillar of ice and snow rises into the sky, spinning slowly like a great, frozen top. The Frost Wyrm has been summoned. The Frost Wyrm descends from the heavens, its massive, scaled body glistening in the moonlight. Its wingspan is greater than that of any known creature, the tips of its wings scraping against the stars. Its head is adorned with horns of solid ice, and its eyes glow like embers in the depths of a frozen sea. It has a long, sinuous body, ending in a powerful tail that could level mountains. As it lands on the icy peak, its talons tear great gouges in the obsidian altar, and its breath freezes the air, turning it into a shroud of swirling snow and ice. The Empire of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Empire then learn that the Empire of Frosthaven has summoned the Frost Wyrm, a colossal dragon-like legendary creature of ice and frost, which is horrifying news, and thus, they decide to attempt to summon an embodiment of the elements of fire and air, both so they can have embodiments of the four main elements, and so they can have a fiery being to counter all of Frosthaven's ice and snow, and thus, they begin the attempted summoning ritual. The ritual, performed by the most powerful mages and sorcerers in the two empires, is another awe-inspiring display of arcane might. As the mages chant in unison, their voices rising and falling in a cacophony of ancient words, a vortex of swirling energy forms in the center of the gathering. The air crackles with power, and the very earth trembles beneath their feet. The ceremony continues unabated, as the mages pour their life force into the vortex, drawing upon the very essence of the elements to fuel their creation. As the ritual reaches its climax, the swirling energy begins to coalesce into a massive, glowing orb. The mages step back, breathless and exhausted, their eyes fixed on the pulsing sphere of light. In the blink of an eye, the orb explodes outward, bathing the sky in a blinding light. When the light fades, a massive, towering figure stands before them, its form seemingly made of living fire and air. The elemental, known as the Avatar of the Winds, is the embodiment of the elemental forces the mages have summoned. Standing over 100 feet tall, it has the upper body of a muscular man and the lower body of a powerful bird of prey. Its skin is red-orange and crackling, and it carries a pair of wings on its back, each tipped with flame. The Avatar of the Winds addresses the two emperors, its voice deep and commanding like the roar of a raging fire. I am the Avatar of the Winds, called forth by your summoning. I am here to aid you in your time of need. What is it you wish me to do? The Empire of Frosthaven then learns that the Empire of Sanctity has summoned now the Elemental of the Winds, a over 100-foot-tall physical embodiment of the elemental forces of fire and air, and thus they decide to attempt to summon a legendary creature known as the Frost Phoenix, a mythical creature of ice and snow, with wings that span the sky and feathers that shimmer with frost. As a symbol of resilience and rebirth, the Frost Phoenix embodies the enduring spirit of the northern lands in the power of ice and cold, and thus, they begin the attempted summoning ritual. The ritual is performed at the heart of the great frozen wastes, where a massive obsidian altar stands, carved with intricate runes and symbols. For days and nights, the most powerful mages and sorcerers of the empire gather around the altar, sacrificing animals and burning incense, drawing upon the elemental energies of ice and cold. As the ceremony reaches its climax, a blinding flash of light erupts from the altar, and a towering pillar of ice and snow rises into the air, spinning slowly like a great, frozen top. The Frost Phoenix has been summoned. The Frost Phoenix descends from the heavens, its massive, scaled body glittering in the moonlight. Its wingspan is greater than that of any known creature, the tips of its wings nearly scraping against the stars. Its head is adorned with a crown of ice and snow, and its eyes glow with an inner light that seems to pierce the darkness. It has a slender, graceful body ending in a long, sinuous tail that could freeze the blood of any who dare approach. As it lands on the obsidian altar, its talons tear great gouges in the ice, and its breath freezes the air, turning it into a cloud of swirling snow and ice. The Empire of Sanctity and Holy Roman Empire then learn that the Empire of Frosthaven have summoned the Ice Phoenix, and thus, they decide to attempt to summon the Golden Dragon, a gigantic golden dragon, and thus, they begin the attempted summoning ritual. The ritual, performed by the most powerful mages and sorcerers in the two empires, is another awe-inspiring display of arcane might. As the mages chant in unison, their voices rising and falling in a cacophony of ancient words, a vortex of swirling energy forms in the center of the gathering. The air crackles with power, and the very earth trembles beneath their feet. The ceremony continues unabated, as the mages pour their life force into the vortex, drawing upon the very essence of the elements to fuel their creation. As the ritual reaches its climax, the swirling energy begins to coalesce into a massive, glowing orb. The mages step back, breathless and exhausted, their eyes fixed on the pulsing sphere of light. In the blink of an eye, the orb explodes outward, bathing the sky in a blinding light. When the light fades, a massive, towering figure stands before them, its form seemingly made of living gold and air. The elemental, known as the avatar of the dragonflight, is the embodiment of the elemental forces the mages have summoned. Standing over 100 feet tall, it has the upper body of a muscular dragon and the lower body of a powerful eagle. Its skin is gold-scaled and crackling, and it carries a pair of wings on its back, each tipped with fire. The avatar of the dragonflight addresses the two emperors, its voice deep and commanding like the roar of a raging dragon. I am the avatar of the dragonflight, called forth by your summoning. I am here to aid you in your time of need. What is it you wish me to do? The Empire of Frosthaven then hears that the Empire of Sanctity and Holy Roman Empire have summoned the avatar of the dragonflight. In response, they decide to attempt to establish diplomatic relations with the Kingdom of Scotland for an alliance and trade agreement, and thus they begin to attempt to establish negotiations. The negotiations are held at the Great Frosty Confluence, where the three great rivers of the Empire meet and flow southward, their icy waters mingling in the winter winds. A grand pavilion has been erected upon the frozen surface of the rivers, its walls adorned with the banners of the Empire of Frosthaven and the Kingdom of Scotland. Within the pavilion, the leaders of the two empires sit across a massive obsidian table, their faces set in serious expressions. The envoy of the Kingdom of Scotland, a tall, regal woman with hair the color of winter wheat, speaks first. Your Majesty, we come here with an open heart and a sincere desire for peace and mutual benefit. The Empire of Frosthaven and the Kingdom of Scotland have long been neighbors, and while there have been times of tension in the past, we believe that those days are behind us. We propose an alliance, strengthened by a trade agreement that would benefit both our peoples for generations to come. The Emperor of the Empire of Frosthaven, a stern but fair man, leans forward on his throne-like chair. We too, Lady Envoy, have come to this table with the same intentions. The Empire of Frosthaven has always valued its neighbors and seeks harmony among the nations of the world. A trade agreement would indeed be most welcome, as our empire has much to offer in terms of furs, ice crystals, and precious metals mined from the heart of the great frozen wastes. He pauses for a moment, considering her words carefully before continuing. However, we must also discuss the recent events involving the summons of legendary creatures by both the Empire of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Empire. As neighbors, we wish to avoid any potential conflicts or misunderstandings that may arise from such actions. It is our hope that our two empires can work together to ensure the safety and stability of our region. The envoy of the Kingdom of Scotland nods in understanding. Your Majesty, the Empire of Scotland shares your concerns regarding the summoning of such powerful creatures. We too have taken steps to bolster our defenses and ensure the safety of our people. As allies, we would be more than willing to share intelligence and resources with the Empire of Frosthaven in this regard. The Emperor of the Empire of Frosthaven looks thoughtful as he listens to her words. This is indeed a reassuring offer, Lady Envoy. The Empire of Frosthaven would welcome such cooperation. As for the trade agreement, we propose that we establish a joint council, composed of equal representatives from both empires, to oversee the negotiations and ensure that both parties benefit equally from the arrangement. The envoy of the Kingdom of Scotland nods in agreement. Your Majesty, that sounds like a most reasonable proposal. We are confident that such a council would be instrumental in fostering mutual understanding and trust between our two empires. As for the trade agreement itself, we have already begun preparing a list of goods and services that we believe would be of interest to your people. The Emperor of the Empire of Frosthaven smiles warmly. That is most encouraging, Lady Envoy. We too have been preparing our own list and look forward to reviewing it with you. In the meantime, we would like to extend an invitation to your people to send explorers and traders into our lands, so that they may see firsthand the wealth and beauty that our empire has to offer. The envoy of the Kingdom of Scotland returns the Emperor's smile. Your Majesty, we accept your invitation with great enthusiasm. Our traders and explorers would be delighted to experience the wonders of your empire and establish lasting commercial ties with your people. Our historians and scholars are also eager to learn more about your culture and history, which has been shaped by the harsh but beautiful landscapes that surround you. The Emperor of the Empire of Frosthaven nods, pleased with her response. Then it is settled. Our joint council shall begin their negotiations immediately, with the goal of finalizing the trade agreement as swiftly as possible. In the meantime, our respective diplomats shall work together to ensure that our two empires remain strong and prosperous, while also striving to maintain peace and stability in the face of any external threats. The envoy of the Kingdom of Scotland, feeling a newfound sense of camaraderie with the Emperor, bows graciously. Your Majesty, I am confident that this alliance will prove to be a shining example of what can be achieved when two great nations come together in mutual respect and cooperation. The people of Scotland look forward to a long and prosperous partnership with the people of Frosthaven. The Empire of Sanctity and Holy Roman Empire learn of the alliance formed between the Empire of Frosthaven and the Kingdom of Scotland, and thus decide to attempt to establish a diplomatic alliance with the Kingdom of England, but use the threat of the Avatars to help convince the Kingdom of England to accept the offer of a diplomatic alliance, and thus they begin to attempt diplomatic negotiations with the Kingdom of England. The negotiations between the two empires and the kingdom are tense and fraught with tension, as each side attempts to gain the upper hand. The Empire of Sanctity and Holy Roman Empire use the threat of the Avatar of the Dragonflight as a bargaining chip, while the Kingdom of England counters with its own military might and potential alliances with other kingdoms and empires. In the end, a delicate balance is struck. The Kingdom of England agrees to enter into a diplomatic alliance with the Empire of Sanctity and Holy Roman Empire, acknowledging the mutual threat posed by the Avatars and the other empires. In return, the Empire agrees to respect England's autonomy and territorial integrity, while also offering economic and military support when needed. Emperor Marcus Aurelius of the Empire of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Empire immediately calls for an invasion and attempted conquest of the Kingdom of France, and thusly, the Empire of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Empire invade and attempt to conquer the Kingdom of France. Meanwhile, the Empire of Frosthaven, feeling threatened by the alliance between the Empire of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Empire, as well as the Kingdom of England, attempts to form an alliance with the Kingdom of Spain, who is also feeling threatened by the growing power of the other empires and kingdoms. The negotiations between the Empire of Frosthaven and the Kingdom of Spain are much smoother than those with England, as both sides share a common enemy in the form of the Empire of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Empire. The Empire of Frosthaven offers military support and access to its powerful Ice Phoenix, while the Kingdom of Spain promises to provide naval support and assistance in conquering the Americas, which are currently under the control of the Empire of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Empire. After weeks of diplomatic talks, a formal alliance is declared between the Empire of Frosthaven and the Kingdom of Spain. The two empires begin to coordinate their efforts, planning a multi-pronged attack on the Empire of Sanctity and the Holy Roman Empire. While the Empire of Frosthaven focuses on attacking from the north, the Kingdom of Spain will launch a naval invasion from the south, aiming to conquer the Americas and cut off the mainland empires from their valuable resources and territories.